In 1957, a tool and die man in Flint, Michigan, walked onto a used lot on Dort Highway and bought a 1951 Chevrolet Style Line for $385. $385. He drove that car to the Buick plant every morning for 14 winters, and the only thing he ever replaced was the water pump. Today, the cheapest new sedan on a Chevrolet lot starts at $22,995, and the average new car payment in America just crossed $742 a month. $742 every month for 7 years for a car built with plastic clips and a touchscreen that goes dark the second the warranty ends. Number 19 on this list was tested by the U.S. Army in 1962 and ran 38,000 miles in desert heat without a single valve adjustment. Number 11 has a straight 6 engine that popular mechanics in a 1971 teardown called the closest thing Detroit ever built to a diesel locomotive. And number 4 was so common in Bureau of Labor Statistics records that census workers in 1965 used it as a baseline for what a working man's vehicle even meant. You don't remember any of these. That's not an accident. Detroit didn't want you to remember. GM killed its own parts catalogs. Ford executives in the late 1980s pushed dealers to refuse service on anything older than 10 years. Car magazines stopped reviewing used iron because the advertising money came from new model launches. They buried these cars on purpose because a car that runs for 40 years on $90 carburetor rebuild is a car that doesn't sell financing, doesn't sell extended warranties, and doesn't sell a replacement in 2029. If you've ever felt cheated by what cars became, subscribe. Now let's count them down. Number 25, the 1978 Mercury Zephyr, built in Kansas City for the kind of widower who needed something cheap, square, and honest. In 1979, a retired postal worker outside Wichita, Kansas could buy a base Zephyr for $4,164 against an average weekly wage of $235. He drives it home in October, the vinyl bench cold under his thighs, the inline 6 clattering at idle, the smell of fresh undercoating still rising off the floorboards. The 200 cubic inch 6 in that car was the same basic block Ford had been refining since 1960. Motor Trend recorded one fleet example pulling 312,000 miles before its first head gasket. The Taurus replaced it in 1986 with transverse engines, plastic intake manifolds, and a transmission that started failing at 90,000. The Zephyr asked for nothing. The Taurus asked for everything. That's the trade we made, and most of us didn't know we were making it. Number 24, the 1982 Chevrolet Malibu Classic. Last of the rear-drive Malibus built in Arlington, Texas, a laid-off rubber worker in Akron, Ohio could pick one up used in 1987 for $2,800. The 229 V6 wasn't fast, but it idled like a sewing machine at 30 below. He pulls into the Sohio station before sunrise, the wheel cold enough to bite through cotton gloves, exhaust steam climbing past the streetlight. GM's own service manuals listed a 200,000-mile expected service life on that drivetrain. The Celebrity that replaced it in 1988 went front-wheel drive, fitted a 2.8 V6 that ate head gaskets, and put electronics where a screwdriver used to be enough. The Malibu was the last car a man could fix in his driveway with a Sears Craftsman set. After it, the driveway died. Number 23. The 1976 Plymouth Valiant, built in Hamtramck, driven by widows, country preachers, and night shift nurses across the Carolinas. New price in 1976, $3,389. Used in 1983, under $1,200. The slant 6 engine, canted 30 degrees to the passenger side, was so over-engineered that Chrysler's own engineers admitted in a 1975 SAE paper that it was intentionally overbuilt for export markets. It ran on bad gas, low oil, and spite. The K-Car replaced it. The K-Car had a timing belt. The Valiant had a timing chain that lasted longer than most marriages. Number 22. The 1971 Ford Maverick, built in Kansas City and St. Thomas. A young Vietnam veteran in Beaumont, Texas paid $2,175 for a base Maverick coupe in 1971, 4 weeks' wages at the refinery. He drives it through the Bayou heat, the 176 humming, vinyl seats sticking to his back, the smell of crude in the air conditioning vents. Road and Track tested a Maverick in 1972 and reported 28 miles per gallon at 55 miles per hour with no electronic assistance. None. Just a Holly one-barrel in gravity. The Pinto replaced it. The Pinto burned. The Maverick didn't. Number 21, the 1980 AMC Concorde, Kenosha, Wisconsin, built by men who knew they were building the last of something. $4,895, new. A widow in Rockford, Illinois, bought one for $900 in 1989 and drove it until 2004. The 258 inline 6 was tested by the U.S. Postal Service for fleet duty and certified to 250,000 miles minimum. AMC died in 1987. Chrysler buried the Concorde, buried the tooling, and buried the men in Kenosha who built it. Number 20. The 1985 Oldsmobile Cutlass Sierra, the car your aunt drove. $9,995 new, under $1,500 used by 1995. The Iron Duke 4-cylinder was crude, loud, and would not die. Popular mechanics called it the engine that refused to be embarrassed, replaced by the Alero, which was embarrassed by everything. Number 19, the 1972 Dodge Dart Swinger. The Army tested a fleet of darts at Fort Bliss in 1962, 38,000 miles, desert heat, no valve adjustment, no head gasket. A coal miner outside Hazard, Kentucky paid $1,400 used in 1976. He drove it down switchbacks with brake fade and prayer. The Slant 6 idled like it was bored, replaced by the Aspen, which rusted before it left the dealer lot. Number 18, the 1979 Ford Granada, $4,200 new in Detroit, used at $1,100 by 1986. The 256 was the same casting Ford ran in trucks. A retired millwright in Toledo drove one for 22 years, replaced by the Tempo, which Consumer Reports listed as one of the worst-rated American cars of the decade. Number 17. The 1981 Buick Regal, rear-wheel drive, 231 V6, $7,200 new, built in Flint by men who still wore union pins. Number 16. The 1977 Pontiac Le Mans, built on the same A-body platform as the Malibu. A retired school teacher in Davenport, Iowa drove hers to church for 19 years on the original transmission. Here's something nobody tells you. In 2019, an engineer at Toyota's North American R&D facility in Ann Arbor, Michigan, presented a paper at an SAE conference. The subject was longevity. His conclusion, after 2 years of teardown analysis on vehicles built between 1975 and 1985, was that the average American sedan from that period would, with basic maintenance, outlast any vehicle built after 2005. He wasn't celebrated. He was reassigned. A mechanic outside Tulsa, Oklahoma, 71 years old, 3 knee surgeries, still working, said it cleaner. He said, "They didn't forget how to build them. They decided not to." That decision was made in boardrooms in Dearborn and Detroit between 1986 and 1992, and we have been paying the bill ever since. Number 15. The 1983 Mercury Marquis, Panther platform, 302 V8, built to last 300,000 miles and usually did. Number 14. The 1976 Oldsmobile Delta 88, the car your father drove home from the VFW. Number 13. The 1980 Chevrolet Caprice Classic, body on frame, the last honest sedan GM ever made before the downsizing wars. Number 12. The 1974 Ford LTD built in Wixom, the 400 V8 had cylinder walls thicker than a modern truck block. Number 11. The 1969 Chevrolet Biscayne, the straight-six 250 that popular mechanics called a diesel locomotive. A Wisconsin dairy farmer drove one 412,000 miles on the original bottom end. Modern drivers cannot understand a car that asks for nothing. Number 10. The 1972 Plymouth Fury, the fleet car of every sheriff's department from Mississippi to Montana. Number 9. The 1978 Dodge D100 pickup, slant 6, 3 on the tree, vinyl bench. A roofer in Joplin, Missouri ran his to 380,000 miles on one clutch. Number 8. The 1975 Chevrolet C10, the truck that built the Sun Belt. Modern drivers think 150,000 miles is a long life. This truck called that the break-in period. Number 7. The 1979 Ford F100, 300 inline 6. A wheat farmer in Garden City, Kansas drove his every harvest from 1979 to 2011, 32 harvests, 1 water pump. Number 6. The 1977 Lincoln Town Car. The retirees in Florida bought it used for $2,000 in 1992 and drove it until they couldn't drive anymore. Number 5. The 1973 Buick LeSabre, 350 Va8, the car of widowers and deacons. Number 4. The 1968 Chevrolet Impala, the Bureau of Labor Statistics baseline working man's car. Modern drivers cannot grasp a vehicle that defined a class. Number 3. The 1966 Ford Galaxy 500, 352 V8, quiet, heavy, honest. Number 2. The 1970 Plymouth Belvedere, the car a foundry worker in Gary, Indiana bought new for $2,800 and drove until 1994. Number 1. The 1972 Ford F-150, the truck of the American working man, built in Norfolk, Kansas City, and Louisville. Inline 6, 4-speed manual, no carpet, no headliner, no apologies. Modern drivers cannot understand a truck that was simply a tool. A man in Lubbock, Texas owns one with 612,000 miles on the original block. He uses it to haul feed. I learned to drive in a 1979 Granada. My father bought it used for $1,100 in 1987. He taught me to set the points with a matchbook cover. He's been gone 12 years, and I still smell that car when I close my eyes. Vinyl, oil, and Kentucky summer. Find one this weekend. Walk an estate sale, a farm auction, a back lot in a small town. Call your father if he's still alive and ask him what he drove home from the hospital the day you were born. In the comments, tell me one thing. What was your father's car, and what did it sound like when it started cold? These cars weren't just transportation. They were the last machines America built that didn't lie to the men who owned them.